Welcome to the WisMissus podcast, reading, writing, and roaming around Wisconsin, the Midwest, and beyond. I'm here with TK Sheffield, who
Writes stories for readers to laugh and escape. I have a cozy mystery series that I describe as The Devil Wears Prada meets a Wisconsin supper club. Model Suspect, Model Wave, and Model Ghost are funny, cozy mysteries. And if you're looking to relax and escape and laugh this summer, I suggest Model Wave. So it's like taking a vacation to the Northwoods, I've been told.
it is. It is. And I believe that I read Model Wave not during the summer. And I thought it was such a nice, refreshing thing during a long Wisconsin winter when I read Model Wave, which is like off season, but
And we are very close. This episode is our last till September, right?
yes, yes. So we
So
have a break. We have a break.
So
So
we'll be on a pontoon boat with an iced tea, I hope, very soon.
you'll just have to follow TK on her social media so you can, see if she really follows through on the pontoon boat drink. So, and I should introduce myself. I'm Valerie Biel, and I am an author as well as a book marketing professional. So I come to this space from two different directions, from writing stories and from helping other people get new readers for their books.
Yes, and you are highly recommended for book marketing by all sources. Many, many people recommend
Thank
you.
you. And part of the problem is that I just found it was so interesting to me to come from a PR background, a publicity background that wasn't book marketing. Then when I started to write, realizing how applicable those skills were, and really how hard it is for authors to find people that they can trust to be partners in this crazy
Absolutely.
business. It's a crazy business.
It's a
Uh,
crazy business, and there are places that just want to sell you a publishing package versus market your book.
oh, for
Two
sure.
different things, and we covered that last episode, but
Oh
just
my gosh. And
that.
so many expensive packages that shouldn't be as expensive as they are
Mhm.
in terms of like the quality or what's being offered. So it pays to shop around
Right,
a little bit too.
right.
So let's just recap and then we'll talk a little bit about what we're reading and what we're writing and where we're roaming. The first episode of the year, we're really diving into the indie publishing process, but the first episode of the year was just about starting out strong. And this was applicable for traditionally published authors too. And it was really just get your butt in the chair and do your writing. Just do your writing. Then we moved on to dissecting, I should say, hybrid publishing and what it is because it's confusing and it's this mix between traditional and indie publishing. And there's a lot of information out there that is just flat out wrong on what it really is. So we
Right.
basically tried to help everybody out with a good definition. There we go of what hybrid publishing is. Then we moved on to review strategy.
Yes.
We talk about editorial reviews, review services like NetGalley. What else? Oh, endorsements. Asking other authors
Endorsement.
for the blurbs. And last month we talked about manuscript readiness, and this was both about getting it edited properly, making sure that you've got the best book that you can have, and then also moving into the formatting of the interior of your book. What goes into the basically the guts of a book, the stuff before the story and after the story, and all those considerations. So now we're going to do today's topic, and it sounds complicated and scary. And our job today, right, is to make it less scary. We're
Yes.
we're going to talk about metadata, positioning your book in the market, making sure that all the things to do with the way you describe your book online, put keywords in, phrases, categories, that everything that you do helps you position your book in the market so it's findable. So
Right.
so that's today's topic, and we'll try to not scare anyone with all kinds of
Right. And
jargon.
I think the takeaway from this series is that don't try to learn it all at once. You know, do the best you can with each episode, each issue that we're discussing, especially like today. Okay, keywords and key phrases and metadata. Don't be afraid of that. Approach it with an open mind and do the best you can with it. Leave it. Go write your own novel. Come back to it because you never know how much your brain needed the break. And I think if take a few of the tips from every episode and write them down, and just get yourself a nice folder, keep it organized with each episode if you want. You can do this. You don't have to be a book marketing mastermind. Don't go there. Just do the best you can and break down each episode and write notes to yourself, keep it organized. I truly think the best tip I can give any writer is be organized. You know?
Oh, I think so too. And when I say things like I have a mantra and people get sick of me saying it, is like spreadsheets are your friends.
Yes,
Um, so that's how I keep my list. So like my launch list is all in a
yes,
spreadsheet. When I work with clients, I use spreadsheets like a Google Doc,
yep,
with all the things that need to be done, who's responsible, the date it needs to be completed by. So it's like mega list keeping, right?
right,
Um,
right. And if that's your vibe and that help you sleep at night and you can stay on task with 75% of your list, you win.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you
yeah.
win.
And I'll be honest too, with this topic, with the metadata topic, and we talk about categories and keywords and book descriptions and things like that, I think that everybody needs to understand that it's not necessarily a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Right.
You can go back and edit these, and you probably should. So, for instance, I'm rebranding and kind of just doing all this housekeeping on my Circle of Nine series that I just am embarrassed that I haven't done for ages. And
Mhm.
part of that is all those category and keyword, the
Yep.
revisiting of those categories and keywords. I rewrote my book descriptions.
Yep.
Um, it's just, it's kind of an ongoing hassle to do these things.
Right.
Clearly, I haven't been keeping up with it, but it doesn't mean that you have to get it perfect the first time. You
Right.
rarely will. You
You
rarely will.
rarely will. And if you have the good thing about being an indie author is that you have control over your KDP
That's right.
dashboard.
That's
You
right.
can go in there and let me tell you, sometimes, small presses and even your hybrid publishers are not positioning you correctly.
Right.
They don't have the time to go in and do what you can do for your work. So that's
Right.
one other consideration. If you're going to do it, consider indie because you have a lot more control over things.
And if you are with a hybrid publisher, small press, or even with a bigger traditional
Yep.
house, knowing this side of it,
Yep.
um, and asking the right questions. What categories are you putting me in? What
Yep.
are you doing with my keywords? Shows that you obviously know your stuff, but it also, you can do like just a double check on the back end of
Yep.
things and ask them maybe for some adaptations or edits to that for specific purposes that, we'll end up walking through today, like why you might do that. So this
Okay.
episode is actually a really good episode for traditionally published authors too. Should we segue over to our what we usually talk about, reading, writing, and roaming?
Sure. Yes,
What are,
absolutely.
what are you reading this week?
What am I reading? Well, first of all, I'm
This
cleaning
month.
my office. So I am going through note cards. Does anybody send note cards anymore? I do.
I do.
But
I do when I remember to do it, but I love getting them. So I feel like
okay.
snail
So,
mail notes so nice.
so this is from my writer friends. And I was looking through these and I'm like, oh, these are great. So anyway, I'm extremely angry at the universe on your behalf.
Oh, that
So
one's
that's somebody, if you got some bad news or, a bad review, I got you. I got your back with a funny card. Keeping your sanity in my prayers. So again, for the writers listening and watching and all our writer friends, I'm sending these to you virtually. And if you got a rejection or you had somebody in the writing business world, I don't know. We never liked him anyway.
That's the card. There's so many times I could have sent that card.
Oh, so I
Awesome.
sent you all these cards that I've been collecting all this time and haven't sent. And then the other thing I'm reading is The Snowbirds by Christina Clancy.
Oh,
She's coming to the Wisconsin Writers Association. She's our keynote. So we're
yeah.
having so I'm reading that this summer. So that's what
I
I'm,
have to, I have to read that. Are you part way in already, or have you not started?
I just started it.
Mhm.
I
Um,
just, oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I want to read that one too. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I got that from LG Lakeside Books in Lake Geneva. She's got a pop-up down there. She's a little mobile bookstore in Lake Geneva. She's fabulous, Alicia. And that's where I got that. And then the other thing I'm reading is I am proofreading my sampler. I am doing a sampler this summer that I'm going to release, and it's all my books, and you get the first 3, 4 chapters if you sign up for that's
Oh,
the cover.
so smart. So that is like your lead
Yes,
magnet. So
yes. If you
people,
sign up for my Substack, and I've rebranded my Substack, Saddles and Stories. Long story with that one, but if you sign up, I will send you this ebook sampler, and you can see the books coming into 2027, I think. So,
so smart. Love that idea.
oh, thank you.
Yeah,
What
everybody
about you?
listening, watching, take notes that you should do this.
That's the beauty of being an indie author. You can do this kind of thing. And I've these books, they're only manuscripts, but they've already won awards. They've already been,
Right. And
recognized. I've got a Claymore finalist in here. I've got a Mark Twain finalist for humor in here. You work behind the scenes, you work and work and work and do your thing and it'll work out. So anyway, what about you?
so I've been reading, I'm a Nora Roberts fan. So I've been reading this. And
Wonderful.
I know Nora Roberts, like I should be like highlighting a Wisconsin author or somebody from our Blackbirds, and I often do, but I pretty much read everything Nora Roberts puts out.
Yes, I'm
Just
gonna write
wait
that
for
down.
the new next thing, and it's really good and creepy, and I don't know, it's just so Nora Roberts. So I'm a huge fan. Anyway, I'm reading that. I've been reading other manuscripts from other authors. Oh, I just bought at Daydream Believers not that long ago when I was there for an event. I bought the next Hunger Games book,
Yes,
that
yes.
Sunrise on the Reaping.
Yes, that
Yeah,
was an immediate bestseller. Daydream Believer is in Lake Geneva. I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. It's in Lake Mills.
Lake Mills, yes. So when I was there, I was like, oh, because they had a little display. I was like, I need this book. I'm a huge Hunger Games fan, and
Yeah.
that has already been cast for the movie version.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
if you are a fan of that series, I just must say I am also a huge fan of Ellie Fanning, who will play the young Effie Trinket in that prequel to the series that you've all, have probably seen. So that's exciting news. But that one will be what I pick up next after this one for like popular reading, for like
Right.
bestseller list kind of reading. Otherwise, I keep going with like books that I'm editing for people or giving beta reads or,
Right.
whatever
Right.
for
Nice.
that.
Very nice.
So writing, your work continuing to do your regular writing work on your
Yeah.
regular
Yeah.
basis.
I've got a rom-com coming up. The next release will be a rom-com in February 26th, putting the final touches on that. And it's just full steam ahead. Right. Like you can't, right. I told my husband I peaked in my 60s.
And
Keep writing.
that's awesome. That's awesome news. Sorry. That's really February is not that far away for a book launch either. So
Not.
no. So I'm personally in panic mode because I'll be at Irish Fest August 15 through 17 with the release. I'm using Irish Fest as the launch for my fourth book in the Circle of Nine series, which has hit my beta readers now. It's out of beta readers. I've been doing read through edits. You guys all know I advocate, and I think almost every author does, reading the book out loud or having the computer read to you. So I'm doing that for a second time and just finessing a few scenes there, here and there. And to be honest, I'm not thrilled with my first paragraph. So, there's that. So we'll have to decide when I think it's all good enough and it's just
Send it
time.
to me. I'll take a peek. Send it
All
to me.
right. You're good at beginnings.
I do. I have good
Yeah.
news about beginnings of a novel I can't talk about yet, but it was good news. And so if you
Oh, yes, yes,
take a
yes.
peek,
Okay.
you bet.
And then also on other like kind of writing related things, I won an IPPY
You
for
did.
I
Yes.
did. I won an IPPY for the ebook of Beyond the Cemetery Gate. In the like, I think it was separated out into a YA category. So I was the
Wonderful.
gold medal winner for the YA ebook.
Congratulations and well done for you.
So,
Fabulous.
I mean, you know what? This is a hard business. You got to celebrate those things,
You
and
do.
you know.
Take it when you
uh,
get it and talk about it. You absolutely, you betcha.
so reading, writing, rowing. I haven't been going anywhere. How about you?
I have not. I'm planning, this is the book business, right? I'm planning fall events and 2026 events already. I'll be at Wisconsin Writers in Stevens Point. I will be in Green Lake for a holiday market.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
yeah, and so I've got some online events, a cozy takeover mystery party online, and I'm home for this, but I booked the when the Espresso Cafe launches. I've got a fabulous interview guest in September, so all good. But that's how far out you plan, as you know.
Yeah. Yep. And I've got those conferences all planned out, like the same ones, Wisconsin Writers Association, the first weekend of October.
I'll be at Killer Nashville and you'll be at BoucherCon.
Right.
Yeah.
BoucherCon will be fun. I'm going to be at the debut author breakfast for that. I just learned that, which is cool. And that's kind of fun because Michael Conley's the host or the sponsor of that. So he
Yeah.
MCs, which is kind of like pretty darn cool, right?
Right.
Yep. Otherwise, kind of sticking close to home. And if you've been watching my kitchen remodeling videos, there'll be a final one coming soon on that. Whew. Yeah,
You deserve an Ippy medal for that.
there should be a You Survived Your Kitchen Remodel like award.
Yes,
I don't know what it is,
absolutely.
like what you get, but you get something.
You get a
So
big new blender.
there you go. There, like an air fryer or something. I don't know.
Exactly.
You're right. Like we're planning ahead for, but
Planning ahead.
to be
Yeah,
honest, except for the next thing really is Irish Fest for me in August, and I'm looking forward to having that time between now and Irish Fest.
right.
To
There's, I was looking forward to the little bit of a break here. I opened up a little tiny bookshelf in a gift shop, vintage gift
Good.
shop, and yeah, it's called Saddles and Stories. It's right off of Highway 83 in the Mill in Genesee Depot, and it's wonderful because I could sell books directly off my website, but if I have my bookshelf there, part of the sale goes to support the shop, and it's all no AI, it's all indie vintage, crafters, vintage folks, and a few bookshelves with books, and mine all have all my books, and I did not do this on purpose, but they all have a horse in them. I realized that when I wrote a blog post, they all have a horse.
They
So
do. Even
yes,
your mysteries have horses.
yes. And I
Well,
said,
surprised. Shouldn't be surprised, but I guess I didn't actually think that through.
yeah.
Like,
So,
wow.
so that was all good news. Oh, and my children's book, Nellie's Island, that is going to be for sale at Island Books on the island.
Mackinac
That was
Island.
wonderful news.
Oh, and
Yeah.
that's just a wonderful place. We did mention, I think, that last time about what a treasure that is in the Midwest, Mackinac Island. So,
If I can get there this summer, that is where I really want to go if I can get up there.
no, that'd be a great place for a writing retreat.
Oh, absolutely. If if anybody organizes that, call me first.
I bet there's a writing conference
Oh,
up
I'm
there.
sure.
There's
I'm
got to
sure.
be. We got to check that out. Okay.
Well, because one of my favorite sayings is right here next to my computer. The cure for anything is salt water, sweat, tears, or the sea. So
There you go.
Mackinac Island, middle of an island, middle of the water.
It counts. It's not salt water. It's Lake
No,
Michigan water,
right.
but it
It's
counts.
unsalted. So
We'll add the salt. We're salty.
so,
Okay, here we go. Are we ready
okay.
for the topic of the day, or do you have more do you
Yes.
want to ask about
Nope.
your?
Let's go. Let's do it.
As we mentioned, this is all about metadata, which is just a fancy way of describing all the things that you work to write or input into the dashboards where your books are for sale that help make your book findable by readers. So it's part of marketing. And this is really, we're going to have three of these episodes, podcast episodes on marketing, and this is the first one. And this has to be the starting point. Because
Right.
if you don't do these things right, the other money you spend on marketing or the other time you spend on promotions is probably not going to be as effective as it ought to be. So let's start with the thing that I always tell authors first to do: identify a list of comparable titles. I think that sounds daunting at first if you don't know where or how to do that. Do you want to share, like, what is your approach
Sure.
with finding your comp authors?
Sure. I teach a class on writing log lines and short descriptions, and I'm going to be doing that on the 25th of June for Wisconsin Sisters in Crime. I'm going to be doing it up at Wisconsin Writers Association in Stevens Point. I just taught it at Oshkosh at Lakefly. I first recommend get a working log line. Get some kind of description for what happens in your novel, 1 or 2 lines, right? It doesn't have to be, this isn't a hard science, right? Do something that shows what happens in your novel in a very concise way, and then you have to know your genre, right? You may have a little bit of a mix there, and there's a trend now for mixing genres, right? So like for example, I'm going to have a cozy suspense. So that's kind of a little bit of a mix of genres there. So just familiarize yourself with those concepts. You don't have to be an expert, but you can do that. Okay. And then for your comps, first of all, you probably write what you like to read. So know that at least. Okay, and then there are some places that you can go to look. And I'll talk I'm going to I'm going to hold AI out there and I'll address that in a second. But you can go to Goodreads. You should, if you're writing, you should have a presence on Goodreads. You can go to Amazon. You can do a secret search, right? You do the private, and then you can search for certain books and see what else comes up. You can do BookBub or NetGalley. You can try that. You can do bookstores and libraries. So
Right.
start there, right? So just start there. Don't get overwhelmed. Just write a few things down. Go look them up. If you do use, an AI platform like I think it's Claude and ChatGPT and Grok, you can plug in some information, but it won't really help you unless you know your genre and your logline. Otherwise, it's going to send you down a rabbit trail most of the time that you may as well be digging on your own, doing your
Yes.
own search, right? So I
Mhm.
would suggest starting there, and jot out, see what you find. What about you?
I agree. That's exactly what my list is too. And I think what people will say, well, why do I need the private or the incognito browsing? When you go to Amazon, and Amazon, whether you love them or hate them, whatever, the algorithm inside Amazon is superior in so many ways to basically allowing you to type in just a few words or a phrase, and then it's spitting back accurately results to you. However, you don't want your previous purchases or searches to impact this search for comps. You want this to be more pure, which is why you want to do in private or incognito, depending upon what browser you're on. Uh,
And now Amazon has a thing called Rufus. Have you
oh,
used
I don't
Rufus?
know about Rufus. Tell me about Rufus.
Yeah, it's their internal AI persona, if you will.
Cool.
Now, have you seen, oh yeah, if I think it's up in the left-hand corner, the screen pops up with
Check
Rufus.
that out.
And you can type in Rufus, show me similar, funny, cozy mysteries set in the Midwest, or, you know, funny mysteries with hodags in them. I mean, be specific because you need to know the elements, because there's millions you'll get this million, your search will be too broad. That's where your log line and your description come in, knowing your genre, because it can narrow it down and save you time. But see, I don't know that Rufus will help you, but you can try it.
Recently with ChatGPT, and I don't know if this is actually the AI, I shouldn't say it was ChatGPT. There was that controversy where that writer had it was like going to be a listicle on, like, was it summer reading
Summer
or
reads.
and ChatGPT or whatever AI the person used, the reporter spit out nonsensical stuff,
The
books.
authors existed, but the books didn't.
No, and maybe this was wishful thinking. They wanted these books to
Yeah,
exist, but these aren't real books. And
right.
it got printed. It got
And
you.
I think it was the Washington Post, I
It
think.
was, I mean, there was a lot of apologizing going on and embarrassment for the. So if you, I mean, I'm not saying, hey, whatever you feel about AI in that sense, its research function, I think, can be very valuable,
Right.
because it's like souped up Google, if you will.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so, but double check everything. So it gives you a list. Go make sure they really exist, but make sure that it's actually hitting the mark. So go read the description of the books that you think it's giving you as proper comps.
Right.
Um,
It doesn't save you that kind of time. You still have to go look at the book it recommends. They should be within the last 5 years, right?
right. I
Don't compare yourself to to the bestsellers out there, the Hunger Games, for example. Refrain from that unless, I mean, most of the time, I mean, you can refrain maybe a character in the book or something, but try
yeah.
to uh, direct compare with the number one bestsellers, that's probably not a good idea.
Well, and even so it's never a good idea for like queries, right? To do
Right,
that for the marketing side of things, it wouldn't necessarily be taboo except for everyone's targeting those books, right?
right,
So it's also not a good idea because
right.
it's oversaturated. Or for instance, if I go to the bestseller list for one of the categories my books are in, my fantasy novels, Harry Potter's got the whole first page, right? So
Right.
I wouldn't be using the Harry Potter series as a comp because it's not going to work for either purpose for marketing,
Right.
nor if I were querying out to agents or editors.
Right. In your author profile, for example, on Amazon or your website, you can say you were inspired by these books.
Right.
So you can use it in ways that make sense, I think.
Oh, I think you can. I think you can. And in fact, bestseller lists can be a really good jumping off point too for you to know what's trending in the category you think your
Right.
book is going to live in. So I do like to use Amazon for that, where I might go, so say you found these comps, right? And you're going to go check them out and you're using maybe Amazon. You can use Barnes and Noble too. It doesn't really
Sure.
matter. But eventually we're going to talk about Amazon categories. So I'm a little bit focused on that today. But if you look at the information as you go down the sales page for that book, there's some book information and it'll list the categories that book, the top three it's ranked in. There'll be separate ones for ebook and separate ones for the print. And they might be the same, but they might not. And you should go see what categories those books are ranking in. If you click on that, it's a hyperlink, it'll take you to the bestsellers page for that category. So
Wow. Great
it's
information.
another way to kind of see like what's happening out there. Now, some of those bestseller pages are I don't want to say corrupted by like one-time sales or like when people do a sales promo that they might not hang in that top 50 for very long, and we both we do that. It's a marketing technique. So you kind of want to look through that and just see historically who's been here
Right.
over time. Am I matching? My theme's similar. And is this a good comp author? And it's not so much that it's an exact match. It's more like, will my book appeal to this book's audience? Um,
Hmm.
will I share that? It can be, will my book live on the same shelf? It
Hmm.
also can be, are my themes similar enough that audience probably will like my books too. So that list becomes important because you're going to be referencing what those books are doing in terms of keywords and what those books are doing in terms of categories. So
Right.
it's an important jumping off point. Also, it's just to know where you sit in the market
Yep.
with the book and to talk intelligently about your book. Like you say,
Right.
have your log line. That's you got to start with that. You got to know your themes.
Really, you really should be able to describe your book in one or two sentences. I know it seems impossible, but it's really not. It's a formula. One thing I forgot to mention was literature map. I love
Oh,
literature map.
I got it. Well, I have to put a link into that because I
Okay.
think a lot of people don't know about literature map, and it
Yes,
is
it's so fun.
so cool. Okay, I got to write that down. Literature map.
Literature map is fun. Literaturemap.com, and then you put in your favorite Nora Roberts, for example,
Yeah.
and then it spins and you get this beautiful map that shows what author might be related or, closely related, and then the ones that go farther out and they float, like they're in the sky. It's kind of fun.
It makes a lot of sense too because there may be things you've never thought of, right? Books you've
Yes.
never thought of, and you're going to go, "Oh, of course, of course." Um,
Yes.
so we aren't going to have all this stuff in our head. It takes time to
Right.
do this research. For me personally, I don't always do this for the clients just because it can get expensive because it's a lot of time.
A lot
So,
of time.
so I usually have authors do this for themselves because I also think they know their book best. Um,
Correct.
and they can read a description and go, oh, there you go,
Right.
and just have a gut instinct for the ones that match the best. Then I move on to the more technical side. So once I get that list of comps, and it doesn't have to be super long. I mean, I'm happy with I can even work with just five.
Yeah. Right.
And
Sure.
yeah, and I mean, and then you build a list off of that for other applications like, targeting inside Amazon ads and stuff. And that's a whole different topic, which we'll talk about later. But for this purpose, then I use a program called Publisher Rocket. And
Hmm.
it's
Yep.
Dave Chesson's kindlepreneur.com program. I don't remember now what the price is, about $100. And if you think you're going to ever want to do this work yourself, highly recommend purchasing this program. I
Usually it's on sale. A lot of times he'll run a sale, especially first of the year. You get 30% off or $30 off or something.
Right. And it's
Yeah.
just, I want to say it's a powerhouse program that he certainly could charge more money for it. I'm glad he
Yeah.
doesn't.
Hmm.
Um, but it does so many things and they keep adding bells and whistles to it. So just when you think you come up with a wish list, "Ah, I wish I could do this," and all of a sudden they've created it, the programmers
Right.
are doing it. And this is all very Amazon data centric. This is all about
Right.
Amazon and getting your categories right on Amazon. We should mention, now we did talk about BISAC codes last time. When you go to get your ISBN, that number, that you have to enter these general categories, which are called BISACs. Ingram Spark functions off those BISACs. However, Amazon's its own thing. and they have their own categories. And this is where Kindlepreneur, or I'm sorry, the Publisher Rocket program from Kindlepreneur really shines. It helps you decipher which categories are the most competitive in terms of how hard is it to rank high and get better, more sales and visibility versus other categories. It's easy to input the information and look then at these, say take 5 comps and enter in those comps into this program, and it'll tell you which categories that it's ranked, that book is ranking in. It'll also tell you which keywords are the most profitable for that book. It doesn't tell you what they've entered into the KDP dashboard. It just tells you which things are achieving the most sales for that book.
Right.
Here we are again talking about spreadsheets in a way, because I pull this data down, throw it all in a spreadsheet, and then I can sort all the keyword phrases by their competitive score. There's also a color coding thing, like green, yellow, red, and you don't really want to target the red ones because they're like those are the really popular ones that are oversaturated.
If you're going to spend the time writing the book,
Yeah.
put on the marketer hat for a day or two, right? And just get this material down.
Yes. Yes. And you'll be better for it anyway in terms of just knowing the market and understanding where you sit. So
Yeah.
it'll help you even talk just more intelligently about books in your categories.
Right.
You're gonna be like, oh, I know that author. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the one that's doing so well, whatever. I mean, we have limited time, of course, for reading whatever. You can't read all the books, but this is one way to be somewhat in the know in your space, like what you
Right.
write. We're talking about categories and keywords. Those are the things under the metadata umbrella. The other things, and we'll dive more into keywords as well, but metadata also includes your title and your subtitle and your book description. And what's interesting is that you can make sure you drop certain keyword phrases into your description. Like young adult, would you put a coming of age story in your book description somewhere? Perhaps. Perhaps that becomes a keyword. I don't know. It's a mix. So all these things work together, particularly in Amazon, but really anywhere on the internet to become indexable
Right.
items that bring your book up when someone is typing certain phrases into a search.
And search is changing, there's a lot of changes going on in the internet right now. So, if you can put that book description on your website as well with your keywords, right?
Yep.
You can put it there to be searched. You can put it on your description on your Amazon page. You can put it on your description on your Goodreads, right? You can
Right.
tweak it a little bit. They don't have to be the exact same. Your website, you've got more space. You can put it on your website and describe it longer. There are places for it. And if you can just find your keywords, have that log line description, know your genre, those are things you can use throughout your book's life, right? And those
Sure.
keywords will probably change. You'll rewrite your description here and there. You might find a certain category that's new and fresh for your work. But as long as you have the basic information, which again, just a couple days of research, you can do this.
For sure. And I put everything in one spreadsheet. So I have one tab for categories, but then in the bigger keyword spreadsheet where I'm trying to decide which ones to use, I also have my book description pasted in there so I can keep referencing it without having to go back and forth. And I
Right.
list those categories again. And then I, over on the right side, have sort of my work in progress. Which phrases might I put into those keyword areas? So one thing to remember, keywords get treated differently based on which platform you're on in terms of when you're doing the inputting. Keywords inside the Amazon or the KDP system, when you're uploading a book, you get 7 keyword phrases. The max characters is 50. And the prevailing wisdom on this is that the 50 characters can be, say, 2 phrases put together, 2 phrases that don't go together. You wouldn't organically type these 2 things in together, but the system is sophisticated enough that it will search on individual words and individual phrases inside longer phrases. And so the wisdom or the advice is to maximize the space you've got and put those items in. But you also want it to be accurate. So you don't want to just stuff,
Right.
hope your book gets seen more. The same wisdom that goes for categories. The categories have to be accurate. So
Right.
even if there's a really great category that you know you're going to be visible in because it's just not that heavily populated, don't use it just because of that. It has to match. It has to match your book.
Has to match your book. And then remember, that's the beauty of the Publisher Rocket. It'll show you dead categories.
Yes, the ones you don't want to accidentally lose.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
You think,
Oh,
oh, this sounds great. And then Publisher Rocket says,
no, they call
inactive.
them,
What does
yeah,
it say?
deactivated ghost, ghost,
Ghost.
ghost categories. So they don't really exist.
Right.
Like you think they do, but they don't show up for the buyer, for the reader,
Right.
in the retail
Right.
sense. Yeah, isn't that crazy? That's kind of crazy,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So my strategy for categories is often, you might pick one that is perfect, but it's so jam-packed, like, murder mysteries, right? Ugh, crazy jam-packed. Then you look at the other ones about some of the nuances in your theme and your plot. While you probably should pick the best one in terms of one of the major ones, you can play with the other spaces. And don't forget, you get them for each format. So you technically have, if you have just a paperback and an ebook, you have 6 category slots. So I don't always have the same kind of category for my ebook as I have for my paperback on Amazon. Like my Kindle categories might be different.
And
And
this is the beauty of doing it yourself, being an indie author, because then you can go in and look both at your ebook and your paperback. And
yes.
you can finagle that. That's the beauty of having control over your Amazon dashboard. So there is, they're both routes are fabulous. It doesn't matter. Get there, do it however you want to do it. But if you're indie, you can control your Amazon dashboard and you got a lot more tweaking you can do, and you can do it more often.
And I would say that even if you are traditionally published as well, you should run through this process.
Yep.
It is possible, depending upon what kind of company you're with, that they might use a KDP dashboard or they might just bring everything in a different way. But you still need the sensibilities of having the right keywords chosen. Now, from an indie author perspective over on Ingram Spark, then you enter the shorter phrases or words just with commas in between them. You don't get just 7, right? You don't just get 7, and there's not this max 50 character thing. You can go for is there a max over on Ingram Spark?
Not that there could be, I don't remember.
I've never hit it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've taken those 50 character 7 times 7 slots from KDP and then divided them up into their proper shorter phrases or words with commas, and I've never hit the limit at Ingram. Even if you aren't going to be using KDP in the way that we're talking, Kindle Direct Publishing, this is still important information to have researched and do for
Right.
you. Do you ever change your ebook, your Kindle subtitles?
Yeah, I tweaked them when I got the humor medal. I got the model Ghost, this one,
Yeah.
earned a humor medal from IBPA, and so I did go in and tweak that subtitle.
You can for your Kindle ebook tweak the subtitle. You can't do that as I'm remembering for the print title. That's set once that's set, and your main title on your Kindle book is set, but you can play with that subtitle. So that's also very good real estate to work with because anything you put in there is indexed as well for searches for Amazon searches. Book descriptions, gosh, we could go down a rabbit hole too on talking about book descriptions and just making sure they're the most active voice you can make them, the most engaging to draw in the reader. It's all about marketing copy. It
And
really
the
flows off that log line that you
goes off your log line. The beauty of your short description and your Amazon description is that you can take that and put it in your press release. You can take that and put it in your media kit. It lasts you so long, and you'll be so proud of yourself for knowing this. So again, take a break, take a little time to do it, read it out loud, study your categories and your keywords, and literally get yourself a nice snappy log line and and a tagline which is vibey. Your tagline is vibey. I'm books to laugh and escape, right? So that encompasses what I write. But then, The Devil Wears Prada meets Wisconsin Supper Club, that describes all 3 books.
And think about this, it's all about branding too. So I would expect that people will repeat that back to you at some point saying, oh, you're the one who writes the book like Devil Wears Prada meets the Wisconsin Supper Club. It's not,
Right.
it's memorable. You're not going to forget it. right?
Right. No, and then the other one that I use a lot is mystery served with a brandy old fashioned and cheese curds, right? Those two things, I use them all the time, you
And,
know, because
and either deep fried cheese curds or the squeaky kind. Like which
they're
kind
the
do you
deep fried.
just checking, just checking. So yeah, we're both, obviously Wisconsin natives, so we enjoy that. But it's an interesting thing, and it doesn't always naturally come to authors to do this sort of writing. We write these long form things, and then when it comes to marketing copy, we kind of get like handicapped with our brain not like letting us do that kind of snappy stuff. Yeah. And so this is why it's important. I mean, the fact that you teach this as a class is really important. And even I go look at my stuff and I'm like, I can do better than that. I'm like, I'm not happy with this. But like we say, it's not set in stone. You're not stuck with it forever. You can go back and rebrand and rethink it and add it at any time in the future. So,
Exactly.
or like you win an award, you can pop that in. Or you get a review from someone that is recognizable. You can put that at the top of your book description for sure. Do you feel like we've covered this? Metadata, your title, your subtitle, your book description, your categories, your keywords. That's it,
Yeah,
right?
I think we've covered it. And then remember in the show notes, we'll send you links so that you can go do this on your own. If you want to get the subscription to Publisher Rocket, you and I both use it. It's not
Yeah,
difficult. They have a lot of tutorials to use it. And don't get overwhelmed. Start small, read a lot, educate yourself, take a couple days to pick your keyword, to write your log line and short description, do that. It is worth it. Teach yourself that. And then just familiarize yourself with a genre and then go look at some categories. You can do that much, right?
for
And
sure.
don't get overwhelmed. So at least you have that much to start with. And then when it comes to marketing, you'll have a leg up.
I agree. I agree. And send us questions. You got a question, like you run into a roadblock and you're like, they never said what to do when this happens.
Right.
Well, send us a quick note, ask
Send
us
us
a
a note.
question. We're more than happy to answer and continue this discussion away from the podcast, but in the comment section or, via email. So let us
Right.
know.
Bird by bird, right? Line by line. But how do you eat an elephant bite by bite, right? Isn't that, I'm butchering that phrase, I think. But book marketing is huge. It's constantly changing. Start a little bit at a time and just pay attention to it. And in the end, you'll be glad you did.
This is just episode 1 of 3 episodes on book marketing.
Yep.
Next time, when we come back from our summer break in September, we will be talking about book promotion and your launch and some of the considerations there, the things that you do that aren't paid advertising. And then October is going to be more about like the paid side of things, like
Right.
advertising on Facebook and, Meta, which is the Instagram as well, like the Meta, the umbrella of Facebook and Instagram and Amazon and maybe even BookBub and Promo Stack. So we're going to try to do this in chunks that make sense that don't overwhelm. And off you go to go write your descriptions and research your categories. Good
Right.
luck. Good luck.
Right on.
You got this. All right, we'll see you guys back in September. Thanks.